Great bhikshus are those about to certify to the fruit of arhatship. Because the word bhikshu contains many meanings, it is not translated but is left in Sanskrit. The three meanings of the word bhikshu are mendicant, frightener of Mara, and destroyer of evil. 1. Mendicant. Bhikshus do not prepare their own food. In the Buddha's time, some of them maintained the ascetic practice of eating only once a day before noon. Others maintained the ascetic practice of not eating after noon. When it was time to eat, they took their bowls into the city and begged from door to door, and lay people would give them offerings of food. 2. Frighten up Mara. When one who has left the home life is about to receive the complete precepts, the precept masters, consisting of 3 masters and 7 certifiers, ask him, "Are you a hero?" He answers, "I am a hero." "Have you brought forth the result for Bodhi?" They ask. "I have brought forth the result for Bodhi," he answers. The moment he answers the second question, an earth-traveling yaksha ghost tells a space-traveling yaksha ghost, who in turn informs the 6th desire heaven, where Mara dwells, saying, "Among pupils such a person has left home. The Buddha's retinue has increased by 1, and the retinue of Mara has decreased by 1. Hearing this, the Demon King is jealous and frightened. Therefore, bhikshus are called frighteners of Mara. 3. Destroyers of evil. Bhikshus destroy the evils of affliction and ignorance, as well as the poisons of greed, hatred, and stupidity. The assembly of bhikshus who are hearers fill the requirement of audience. How many were there? 12,000. Every sutra begins with these 6 requirements because unless all 6 requirements are filled, the Buddha will not speak the Dharma. For example, there must be an audience to listen and a place in which to speak the Dharma. Thirdly, a host speaker is needed. A Dharma master who genuinely understands the Buddha Dharma. If you have an audience and a place, but no one speaks the Dharma, you can't convene a Dharma assembly. Next, you need a time. For example, 7 to 9 in the evening. There must be a hearing, that is, you need to come and listen. Otherwise, the requirement of hearing is not filled. If you listen but you do not believe it, then the requirement of faith is lacking. If you think, "I don't know what this Dharma master is talking about, I don't know if it is true or false," then you lack faith. You may think, "The Dharma master speaks extremely well. He's most articulate. The more I hear, the more I want to listen," in which case the requirement of faith is met. Now, in our sutra lecture, the 6 requirements have also been met. First of all, you must have faith, and then you can hear the lecture. In order for there to be a hearing, there must be a time and a Dharma master who can lecture on the sutra. Further, there must also be a place and an assembly that convenes. None of these 6 requirements must be lacking. The phrase "together with a gathering of great bhikshus, 12,000 in all," denotes the number present. The following phrases: "All were arhats who had exhausted all outflows and had no further afflictions. Having attained peace and self-benefit, they had exhausted the bonds of all existence, and their hearts had attained self-mastery. Praise the virtue of the arhats." All were arhats. The Sanskrit word arhat has 3 meanings which correspond to the 3 meanings of the word bhikshu. The bhikshu is the cause. The arhat is the fruition, cultivation of the causal ground, as the bhikshu leads to the results of arhatship. 1. One worthy of offerings. On the causal ground, a bhikshu is a mendicant. As a result, an arhat is worthy of offerings, worthy of receiving offerings from men and gods, and both should make offerings to him. Arhat also means one who should make offerings, that is, one who should make offerings to the other bhikshus. For example, when the Buddha was in the world, the bhikshus and common people made offerings to the Buddha. But one time the Buddha transformed himself into a cultivator of the way and made offerings to all the bhikshus in turn. 2. Slayer of thieves. An arhat slays the thieves of ignorance and affliction, and the 6 thieves of the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. You may ask, they have slain the thieves, but have they slain the non-thieves? Yes, as a matter of fact, they have. Not only have they slain the thieves, they have slain the non-thieves as well. Someone may wonder, what are the non-thieves? In the small vehicle, the hearers and conditioned enlightened ones look upon certain things as not being thieves, which at the Bodhisattva level are seen as thieves. These they have also slain. 3. One without birth. On the causal ground, a bhikshu frightens Mara and as a result becomes an arhat, one without birth. He is neither produced nor destroyed. At the 4th stage of arhatship, one awakens to the patience of the non-production of dharmas. Within the great Trichiliocosm, one sees not the slightest drama produced, nor the slightest drama destroyed. As it is an unspeakable, ineffable state, it can only be endured in the heart. Therefore, it is called the patience of the non-production of dharmas. There are 4 levels of arhatship. The first stage arhat is called Ashotapanna. At the first stage of arhatship, birth and death have not yet been ended. It is called the position of seeing the way. Shotapanna means stream enterer. They have entered the stream of the Dharma nature of the sages and go against the stream of the 6 sense objects of the common person. The 6 sense objects are forms, sounds, smells, tastes, tangible objects, and dharmas. Those who have certified to the first fruit of arhatship do not enter into forms, sounds, smells, tastes, tangible objects, or dharmas. Forms. Because they have the power of concentration, forms do not move their minds. Whether or not a form is beautiful, no matter how nice looking it is, when they encounter it, their minds are not affected and they do not enter into forms. Sounds. Most people like to hear songs and music. First stage arhats are simply not affected by sounds, be they good, bad, pleasant, irritating, right or wrong sounds. They are not turned by sounds. They are able to turn the sounds, that is, they are in control. Smells. Because they are turned by smells, they are fond of pleasant smells and are displeased by bad ones. If you are fond of or displeased by smells, you have thoughts of love and hate and are therefore affected by smells. Tastes. Because they are turned by tastes. We like to eat a little more of the tasty foods and tend to avoid the bad ones. At the first stage of arhatship, one is not affected by taste. Tangible objects. Ordinary people are all greedy for objects of touch. Emotional love between men and women arises when one has not seen through and set aside the desire for objects of touch. People desire that their bodies come in contact with other bodies because they are not able to turn the objects of touch. Arhats at the first stage are not affected by objects of touch. They are not greedy for beautiful things to touch or lovely things to hold on to. Dharmas. There are many different kinds of dharmas. If you are attached to them, there are also defiling objects. First stage arhats are not attached to any dharmas whatever. If someone claims that they has sacrificed to the fruit, obtained the way, and become enlightened, you can test him out. Invite him to lunch and present him with two dishes, one delectable and the other nauseating. Then let him take his pick, but don't tell him you are testing him, or of course he will take the bad food. But in deliberately wanting to eat the bad food, he also betrays a susceptibility to objects of taste. Why? Because he really likes the good food, but he knows that you are testing him, and so deliberately he eats bad food. He is still being turned and is merely putting on an act. If he is truly not turned by smells and tastes, he won't do any picking. He just eats the good along with the bad because he makes no distinctions. This proves the cultivator has a bit of skill, but is still not for sure that he has certified to the first fruit. You cannot casually claim to have certified to the fruit. You must be able to prove it. Second stage arhats are called Sakridagamin, which means once returner. First stage arhats must undergo 7 more pre-births, but second stage arhats are called once returners because they need only be born once in the heavens and once among men. Third stage arhats are called anagamin, which means never returner. They do not again undergo birth and death. The first stage of arhatship is called the position of seeing the way. The second and third stages are called the position of cultivating the way because they still have to cultivate. The fourth stage is called the position beyond study. They need study no more. At the position beyond study, birth and death, that is shared section, has been ended, but they still haven't ended change of birth and death. There are 2 kinds of birth and death: shared section birth and death, and change of birth and death. Share refers to our bodies. Everyone has a body which is a certain size and weight, and that is called our share. Everyone has their own particular lifespan. Change, birth, and death refers to the uninterrupted birth and death of the succession of thoughts which flow through the mind. Arhats have not ended change, birth, and death. It is only at the Bodhisattva level that change, birth, and death is ended. This has been a general discussion of the word Arhat. The realm of the spiritual penetrations and transformations of fourth stage arhats is an inconceivable experience, subtle and difficult to describe. Their spiritual powers are completely different from those of non-Buddhist religions. They have the 5 eyes and the 6 spiritual penetrations. They can jump up into empty space and stand suspended right in the air. They can walk in the air too and stand on their heads while suspended in space. They can emit flames from the top of their bodies and water from their feet, or they emit water from the top of their bodies and fire from their feet. They can fly and perform all kinds of miraculous transformations. In general, they can manifest 18 different kinds of transformations. Because they have spiritual powers, they belong to the 4 sexual realms. The Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, conditioned enlightened ones, and hearers. Once there was an arhat who accepted a young disciple. As the 2 of them went out traveling one day, the disciple carried their belongings on his back. He thought, "There's really nothing finer than the Bodhisattva way. I'm definitely going to study it and help all living beings." Just as the disciple had that thought, the arhat knew. The arhat thought, "He has decided to become a Bodhisattva. I am only an arhat, so I should carry the baggage." And he took the pack from the disciple. As they continued down the road, the disciple began thinking of Shariputra. When Shariputra had tried to cultivate the Bodhisattva way, he met a person who asked for his eye. Accordingly, he plucked out his left eye and gave it to him. However, the man said that he had no use for his left eye. He wanted Shariputra's right eye. At that point, Shariputra's bodhisattva came to an abrupt end. The bodhisattva way is obviously too difficult for me. The disciple thought, I'll cultivate the Arhat dharmas and take care of myself. When his teacher saw that his disciple, who had previously turned from the small towards the great, had now returned from the great to the small, and had, so to speak, shifted to reverse, he handed the pack back to him and said, Here, I can't carry this anymore. Pretty soon, the disciple's bodhisattva heart popped up again. He again turned from the small to the great, and the arhat shouldered the pack again. Finally, the disciple's curiosity got the best of him. Why are you passing this thing back and forth like that? He asked. When you bring forth the bodhisattva heart, said the arhat, I, as a mere arhat, should rightfully carry the pack. When you retreat, I am in no position to carry it and must return it to you. Hearing this, the disciple knew that his teacher was indeed extraordinary. He brought forth the bodhisattva heart and diligently practiced the bodhisattva way. The arhat had spiritual penetrations which permitted him to feel free wherever he went. When the Venerable Ananda was about to compile the sutras, he had not yet obtained the fourth stage of arhatship, the extinction of those. The arhats who gathered to organize the convocation for compiling the sutras decided that in order to take part, one had to be a fourth stage arhat. Consequently, Ananda, who was only a third stage arhat, was left standing outside the door. They wouldn't let him in, and he was extremely upset. I remember all the sutras the Buddha spoke, but now I can't even attend the meeting. What am I to do? He was so nervous, not angry, mind you, but nervous, that he certified to the fourth fruit of arhatship. I've certified to the fourth fruit, he cried. Open the door and let me in. But the arhats inside just said, Really? If you've certified to the fourth fruit, you don't need to have the door opened. Climb in through the keyhole. Ananda did just that. So you see, arhats don't need to open the door to go into a room. If someone claims to be an arhat but still has to use the door, you can be sure he is lying. So arhatship is not such a simple matter, as you can see from Ananda's having been left outside the door when the sutras were to be compiled. Having exhausted all outflows. At the fourth stage of arhatship, one has exhausted all outflows.